The Huxtables have always enjoyed good conversation.
We have?
So, what should we talk about now? Politics? Poetry?
When The Cosby Show first appeared on NBC in the fall of 1984, it didn't look like the kind of sitcom that would change television history. The setup was simple: a married couple raising their children in a Brooklyn brownstone. Cliff Huxtable, played by Bill Cosby, was a doctor who loved jazz, wore colorful sweaters, and delivered life lessons with a mix of humor and exasperation. His wife Claire, played by Felicia Rashad, was a smart and confident lawyer who balanced a demanding career with raising 5 kids. The comedy came from everyday life: homework struggles, sibling rivalries, family dinners, teenage crushes, and lessons about responsibility. But unlike many shows of its time, The Cosby Show presented an African-American family that was successful, educated, and deeply loving. This was not the typical portrayal of black households on TV in the early 1980s, and it immediately set the show apart. Each Huxtable child had a personality that audiences grew to love. Sandra, the eldest, was the responsible one trying to build her own family. Denise was free-spirited and constantly chasing independence. Theo, the only son, was relatable to millions of viewers as a boy struggling through school and trying to find his place in the world. Vanessa dealt with the pressures of being a middle child, while Rudy, the youngest, stole scenes with her sass and cuteness. Together, they made the Huxtable home feel real, lively, and filled with warmth. It wasn't just a comedy, it was a show with heart. Each episode blended laughs with meaningful lessons. Parents could relate to Cliff and Claire's struggles, while kids saw themselves in the Huxtable children. It was that rare sitcom that truly worked for the whole family. By its second season, The Cosby Show had become the #1 program on television. Families across America tuned in on Thursday nights, making it appointment viewing. The series reshaped NBC's fortunes, turning the network into a primetime powerhouse. It also opened doors for more diversity on television. Suddenly, there was proof that a sitcom about a black family could not only succeed but dominate ratings. Merchandise, magazine covers, and interviews with the cast filled the media. People quoted Cliff Huxtable's jokes, imitated Rudy's lines, and debated Denise's latest adventures. Viewers didn't just watch the Huxtables, they felt connected to them. But success brought new challenges. As the seasons went on, the writers had to keep stories fresh. The children grew older, which meant the show needed to evolve. Denise left the Huxtable household, Theo headed to college, and new characters were added. Some changes worked, while others divided fans. Still, the show remained a major force in TV throughout the late 1980s. By the early 1990s, television audiences were changing. Edgier shows like Roseanne and Married, with children offered a more sarcastic, less polished version of family life. Compared to them, The Cosby Show sometimes felt a little too neat and tidy. Ratings began to slip, and NBC grew nervous about how to keep the magic alive. This is where producers started taking risks. Some episodes leaned into heavier storylines, arguments, disappointments, and challenges that weren't wrapped up neatly with a laugh. The idea was to keep the show relevant and show that even the Huxtables weren't perfect. But not every risk landed well. In a later season episode, A Family Dinner, usually the warm centerpiece of the show, took a sharp turn. Instead of playful banter and gentle teasing, tensions boiled over. Cliff, the loving father known for his patience and humor, snapped in frustration. His words came across as sharp and unusually harsh. For viewers who had grown used to his goofy lectures and lighthearted discipline, the outburst felt jarring. This wasn't the Cliff Huxtable fans adored. This was something darker, something that didn't feel right in the safe world of the Huxtables' living room. The scene made audiences uncomfortable. Letters and phone calls poured into NBC from viewers who said the show felt different, too harsh, and not the same anymore. Executives noticed. Advertisers worried. Ratings, already slipping, took another hit. For many, this scene was the moment when The Cosby Show lost the warmth that made it special. By the time the scene aired, the show was already nearing the end of its run. But this moment pushed it further down the path toward cancellation. What had once been the most beloved sitcom in America was suddenly struggling to hold on to viewers. And for NBC, which was already preparing to launch new hits like Seinfeld and Friends, the choice to let the Huxtables go became easier. In April 1992, after 8 seasons, The Cosby Show aired its final episode. The Huxtables danced together one last time, walking off the stage and closing the door on a television era. While the Huxtables will forever be remembered as America's favorite TV family, not every moment from The Cosby Show was wrapped neatly in charm and laughter. One of the earliest storylines that struck a chord with audiences was Theo's learning difficulties. In Season 2, the writers revealed that Theo had dyslexia, a diagnosis that was rarely discussed on television in the 1980s. While many viewers praised the show for highlighting a real issue that millions of families faced, others felt it was handled too lightly. In one memorable scene, Theo is struggling with schoolwork, and Cliff pushes him harder than ever, leading to a tense exchange between father and son. The Huxtables eventually turned it into a teaching moment, but critics accused the show of oversimplifying dyslexia into a quick-fix storyline. NBC executives reportedly debated whether tackling learning disorders was too serious for what was billed as a lighthearted sitcom. Another storyline that stirred behind-the-scenes drama came with Denise, the free-spirited Huxtable daughter played by Lisa Bonet. Her character was a fan favorite early on, but things shifted after Bonet starred in the controversial 1987 film Angel Heart, which included explicit content that clashed with her family-friendly image. When Denise returned to The Cosby Show briefly, producers gave her a surprising storyline. She had left college, traveled aimlessly, and eventually showed up with a husband and a stepdaughter. The episode where she announced her sudden marriage shocked audiences who had grown up rooting for Denise's independence and success. For some fans, this storyline felt like a betrayal of the character they once admired. As the show aged, the tone of some episodes became less comedic and more preachy. For example, there was a scene where Theo and his friends were caught partying irresponsibly, and Cliff gave a stern, drawn-out lecture that went far beyond sitcom territory. Instead of laughs, the episode ended with a sobering moment of reflection. While some praised the Huxtables for promoting responsibility, others criticized the show for feeling too much like a classroom lesson instead of entertainment. It was these kinds of tonal shifts that began to make The Cosby Show feel different, and not always in ways viewers enjoyed. One of the most talked about moments in the later years came when Vanessa, the Huxtables' second youngest daughter, lied about going to a concert in Baltimore. In the explosive scene that grounded in a relatable scenario, Claire discovered every parent has dealt and with teenage rebellion, angriest the parental scoldings of the Huxtables anger-shocked viewers. What was usually handled with humor and patience came across here as harsh, even borderline frightening for a family sitcom. For many fans, this was one of the first signs that the Huxtables weren't always the perfect parents the audience believed them to be. When Raven-Symoné joined the show as Olivia Kendall, the adorable stepdaughter of Denise's husband Martin, audiences initially loved her. She brought cuteness and sass, a dynamic that reminded some of early Rudy episodes. But as Olivia took more screen time, many longtime fans began to complain that the writers were forcing cute kid moments into every episode. One infamous scene involved Olivia performing an extended lip-sync number in front of the family, which critics later said felt like filler rather than storytelling. The push to highlight Olivia divided viewers. Some adore her, while others felt her presence signaled that the writers were running out of ideas for the original Huxtable children. Like many sitcoms of the 1980s, The Cosby Show occasionally tackled heavy topics. But in later seasons, these very special episodes became more frequent and more divisive. For instance, there was an episode dealing with underage drinking, in which the normally light tone of the Huxtable household vanished into a stark moral lesson. Audiences who had tuned in for comedy sometimes felt caught off guard by these serious scenes. Television critics argued that the Huxtables worked best when life lessons were subtle, not when they were delivered in blunt monologues. Each time the show leaned heavily into social issues, ratings seemed to dip a little further. All of these moments built toward one key issue. The Huxtables were no longer the same family that America had fallen in love with. The defining scene came late in the series, when Cliff's frustration boiled over during a family argument. His sharp words and tone broke the long-standing image of the gentle, joking father. It wasn't a single misstep, but rather the culmination of years of tonal changes, awkward character shifts, and strained attempts to keep the series fresh. For NBC, this was the final warning sign. They knew audiences were drifting away, and they weren't willing to risk alienating advertisers with a show that no longer matched its original, family-friendly promise. By the time The Cosby Show left the air in 1992, the writing was already on the wall. Audiences had seen too many moments that felt forced, uncomfortable, or out of character. What had started as a groundbreaking family comedy had become weighed down by the pressure of staying relevant, and the scenes that once charmed millions began to feel heavy-handed. But what happened to the beloved cast after the cameras stopped rolling in 1992? Some went on to thrive in Hollywood, while others faced challenges and chose quieter lives. Let's take a look at where they all are today. Bill Cosby's role as Cliff Huxtable cemented him as America's dad. After the show ended, Cosby stayed active in entertainment with Cosby, 1996 to 2000, and other projects. However, his legacy has been overshadowed by dozens of sexual assault allegations. In 2018, he was convicted of sexual assault and sentenced to prison, though the conviction was later overturned in 2021 on a legal technicality. Today, he remains a controversial figure, largely removed from public life. Elegant, intelligent, and graceful, Claire Huxtable became a role model for working mothers everywhere. After the show, Rashad built a strong career in theater, earning a Tony Award for her performance in A Raisin in the Sun, 2004. She has also appeared in films like Creed and Creed 2, and TV series such as Empire and This Is Us. In 2021, she became the Dean of the College of Fine Arts at Howard University, continuing her influence on the next generation of artists. Sandra, the eldest Huxtable child, was portrayed by Sabrina LaBeouf. While she had a relatively quiet Hollywood career after The Cosby Show, LaBeouf found success in theater and as a voice actress, including work on The Legend of Prince Valiant. Later in life, she pursued a career in interior design, proving her talents extend far beyond acting. Lisa Bonet's free-spirited Denise was a fan favorite. Bonet later headlined the spin-off A Different World, though creative differences led to her early exit. Off-screen, she married musician Lenny Kravitz, with whom she shares daughter Zoe Kravitz, now a successful actress. Bonet continued acting sporadically, appearing in films like High Fidelity and TV projects, but mostly stepped away from Hollywood. She later married actor Jason Momoa, though the couple separated in 2022. Theo's coming-of-age stories made Malcolm Jamal Warner relatable to millions of young viewers. After the show, Warner maintained a steady acting career with roles in Malcolm and Eddie, Read Between the Lines, and The Resident. He also directed and produced television and released music as a spoken-word artist. In 2015, he won a Grammy for his contribution to a jazz album. Today, Warner balances acting, music, and fatherhood. Sadly, Warner's journey was cut short when he passed away in 2025 during a surfing lesson in Costa Rica, leaving behind a legacy of talent, creativity, and inspiration that touched generations. As Vanessa, the mischievous middle Huxtable daughter, Tempest Bledsoe grew up on screen. After the series, she took on acting roles but also transitioned into hosting, with Clean House on the Style Network. In 2012, she returned to sitcom life in NBC's Guys with Kids. She has been in a long-term relationship with actor Daryl M. Bell, best known for A Different World. Keisha Knight Pulliam stole hearts as Rudy, the youngest Huxtable child. After the show, she made history as the youngest actress ever nominated for an Emmy at age 6. As an adult, she re-emerged on TV with roles in Tyler Perry's House of Pain and other projects. She also appeared on reality shows like Celebrity Apprentice. Today, Pulliam is active as both an actress and entrepreneur and is married to actor Brad James. Jeffrey Owens played Sandra's husband, Elvin. He continued working in television and theater after the show, but in 2018, he made headlines when he was photographed working at a Trader Joe's. Instead of being shamed, Owens received an outpouring of support, including job offers from Tyler Perry and other Hollywood figures. Since then, he has appeared in series such as Power and the Haves and the Have-Nots. Raven-Symoné joined The Cosby Show in later seasons as Olivia, Denise's stepdaughter. She went on to become a Disney Channel superstar with That's So Raven. Beyond acting, she is also a singer and co-host of The View. Raven remains an influential entertainer and advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, living openly with her wife, Miranda Mayday. The cast of The Cosby Show went on very different journeys. Some stayed in the spotlight, while others found fulfillment in new careers or personal lives. What they all share, however, is that they helped shape one of the most important sitcoms in television history. Despite the controversies surrounding its star, the Huxtables' legacy as a groundbreaking TV family still resonates with audiences worldwide.